Yep, that's me. You probably don't care how I got in this situation, but I'm going to tell you anyway. As you can see in this clip, I do multiple things wrong. I miss many shots.
What are you aiming at? What are you aiming at?
I engage the enemies in just not a very smart way. I'm wearing underwear on my head. But there's one aspect of the clip I'm focusing on, and that is when I armor early on. I do not armor all 3 plates, even though I have a million years to. And that ends up, I mean, what ended up killing me was me, missing all of my shots. But if I were a better player and I had slapped that last piece of armor in, I would have had much better odds of winning that gunfight. And the time that it takes to just fill one plate rather than just fill them all together is significantly different. Armor is a little more complicated than a player might think at first. Through extensive frame testing done by Amadio602, we have found that the times to plate are strangely inconsistent. For the sake of consistency, I'm leaving out the times of gun raising and dropping, as well as amped, which increases your armoring speed. If you armor continuously, the second and third plates will take between 1.4 and 1.5 seconds. The first armor plate is where it gets weird. If you are holding a pistol or SMG using one plate, will take about 2.5 seconds. If you're using an assault rifle, sniper rifle, or shotgun using one plate will take between 3 and 3.5 seconds. If you are using an LMG or launcher, using one plate will take you at least 3.5 seconds, most likely. But the strangest part of all of this is that factored into all of these one plate armor times is a plus or minus 150 millisecond inconsistency that varies wildly and seems unaffected by any specific action or circumstance. To a new player, 150 millisecond difference might not seem that significant, but any seasoned FPS player knows that every millisecond does in fact count. And in case the plus or minus thing confused you a little bit, it basically just means that it's either going to be, there's a range of 150 milliseconds less time it could take to armor, or 150 milliseconds more time. And it just depends randomly what you get. Now you might be thinking this information is great, but when I'm in the stress of a gunfight, how am I supposed to remember all these stupid decimals and literally do fucking math? The answer is you don't. Over time of repeating any action, your brain develops a natural sense of how long it takes. Now that you have the actual times laid out and visualized in front of you as a reference, your brain will have an easier time estimating how long it's actually going to take for you to armor. But enough boring numbers, let's talk strategy. Number 1, do you have time? Taking time into account. I just showed you about armor times. You need to evaluate your own circumstance in game. How far are the enemies from you? How long will it take them to reach you? If you've gotten a visual on these guys, are they slide canceling, or are they sprinting, or are they walking? How much, what route would they have to take to get to you? Is it a straight line, or would they have to go upstairs through a building, whatever? Just think about how long do you have before you might be in a gunfight, the minimum time. And then if you're not safe to armor, how long will it take until you are safe? So say you're caught out in the open, you need to get behind a tree or a rock or something. Where's the closest one that you can get to? Or is it just worth it to say, I'm just going to armor out in the open and, hope for the best? Number 2 is visibility. Can an enemy see me? Where am I positioned in contrast to my opponents? Can a third party see me? So when you're looking at this, you want to obviously take into account if you're out in the open, if you don't have any like rocks or building or anything, obviously you can be seen from almost any angle that you can render in on a person's screen. And so if you do know where your enemies are, where am I positioned in contrast to them? So you want to take into account, can they, even if they can't see you where you are, is it possible for them to move a little bit and then see you and be able to light you up? And then obviously this one gets me every time personally. Can a third party see me? When you kind of get tunnel visioned on a team in a gunfight. For me personally, I often find I can just leave myself wide open to a third party threat, and that happens all the time. Now, what can you, another part of visibility is what can you see, not just what your enemy can see. What can I see that can help me gain an advantage? So if you're in a difficult environment like Summit or one of these crazy buildings, like I remember what that tower in downtown. If you know that area better than most people, what can you use in that area to get an advantage on your enemy? Number 3, information. What do I know? So basically, this could be any information is good information. Obviously, you want to know where the enemies are. Do you know where all the enemies are? How many of them are there? Like, and it's hard to be certain on that if you haven't, been, full on fighting a team. What can you hear? Pay attention to audio cues. Warzone's audio design is a little funky, but most of the time it's pretty accurate on distance and direction. Also, I have Ordia headsets, so if you don't mind checking in the description if you need a studio quality headset or microphone for your podcast, music, Warzone, whatever, check out the description. There's a link. Ordia BASS25, get 25% off. I think their headphones are $80. Get 25% off. That's $60. I think the microphones are $60, so you'll be getting them for $45. 25% off. Big discount. Check it out if you need equipment. But yeah, use your audio. Kind of figure out if you're being pushed or not. There's always dead fucking silence, but not much you can do about that. So other information, what guns do they have? At what ranges are those guns effective? If you can possibly, if you know they're not going to challenge you at close range, say they have a sniper and a LMG for whatever reason, you never know. They're probably not going to challenge you up close if you go into a building and get a couple plates in real quick. Last thing. Oh, also, for information, gauge if you've been fighting them a little bit, if you have, you've tagged back and forth a little bit, gauge the skill of the player you're up against. If they're, slide canceling around and stuff and you hear them pushing, you probably should try to get out of there. Or, fight them. Last thing you should do is armor. So see how aware they are of what's going on. And if their team, do they seem to be communicating? So you down and eliminate one, was there a death chat? Are they calling out your position? If he calls out your position, you better fucking move. And also, what do they know about me? Through your interaction with the enemy team, what have they seen from you? Do they know what guns you have? Do they know where you're going? Do they know, kind of think about what they're thinking you're going to do. Lastly, confusion. Where did I go? There's a lot of situations in buildings, like I mentioned earlier, like that place in downtown and, Summit, where you can use map knowledge and just general advanced movement to kind of confuse your enemies, make them think you're going one way, go another way. Slam doors, but don't actually go through them. Slam through a door but hide in the corner. They might just blow right by you. Things like that. Little jumps that people generally wouldn't expect someone to do or know about are good for this too. So in order to effectively use strategy, you also need to know your enemy. Through my own personal Warzone experience, I have broken down Warzone players into 3 overall types. Keep in mind that no player is strictly a pusher or a holder. Any player can switch between any type at any time. A player might be a strict holder until they deal damage, then they might push like a madman. Or a player might be a pusher at TV station because they drop there every game, but a runner at train because they don't know the area. The idea is reading how your opponent is behaving in the moment and adapting accordingly. So number 1, we have the pushers. The pusher will aggressively push against enemies under any circumstance, even if they are low. When armoring, be most wary of this player, especially multiple of them working together. Be sure to gain a good distance and sprinkle a little confusion in there before committing to the armor. You can take advantage of their aggressive nature sometimes and they'll blast right by you for an easy lineup. Secondly, we have the holders. The holder will stay in a room or building until killed or forced to leave by gas. Armoring is usually not too much of an issue against these guys. Be very careful when pushing, especially multiple holders. They set up traps and crossfires at choke points and doorways. Push as a team. Remember, a holder can easily turn into a pusher, especially if they get damage or a down. Lastly, we have runners. The runner will completely stop fighting and run for their life. It's safe to armor around these guys. These are often either solo players who are up against an entire team or low skill players. Their movement is often sporadic and a bit hilarious, but it can make them hard to snipe at distance. Be careful if you decide to chase. I do this all the time, personally. If you decide to chase, if you don't know where their teammates are, they might be running back to 3 holders. Or if you are solo pushing them, they could easily switch to a pusher, double back on you if they've gotten armor in. Don't get tunnel vision. I'm personally guilty of this a lot. I try not to get tunnel vision. So, you know, wrap things up here. I know this is a lot of information for a human being to process in the heat of a Warzone moment. This is not about memorization. My goal for this video is to just get you to think a little more about these situations when in the situations in the future. I worded that beautifully. Maybe you'll get a flicker back to this video and you'll remember something that wins you the gunfight. I constantly make mistakes that I mentioned in this video. It's all about acknowledging them and learning from them. Remember to like and subscribe if you did. Let me know with a comment what you think. And if you want to see more tip videos from me, remember to follow on Twitch. And I just made a TikTok, so go follow that too. I got like 2 fucking followers. Blow that shit up.